All right, so welcome to this small talk on managing procrastination. As you know, we all procrastinate, and it affects our productivity big time. So, why do we procrastinate, and how can we handle this habit? We all postpone doing things what were supposed to be done right away, but we still postpone it. We know that it's not helpful, but we still do it. Let's see how to break this habit. First, let's understand what is procrastination. Procrastination is the act of putting off a task to a later time that you know is important and must be done right away and substituting it with a less important task. So people who procrastinate, they know that this task is important to be done right away. And the routine flow chart for procrastination is like there is something to do right away, you say no. What is not procrastination? It's important to understand what exactly is not procrastination. There is something called a strategic delay. For instance, this is the graph for the stock market, and the stock market has fallen down a lot. Now, I want to sell some shares, and my financial advisor tells me that do not sell these shares at this point in time because the prices are too low. So, what I do is I delay to sell my shares to a later time because that would be helpful to sell it later. This is not procrastination. So, not all delays are procrastination. But sometimes we might fool ourselves into thinking that delaying it would be helpful. Remember, when you procrastinate, you know that it would be good to do it right away. There are some common things in all procrastinators. Number one is anxiety. People who procrastinate face anxiety of doing that task immediately. There is also low frustration tolerance, especially when their goals are blocked and when they have some distress that could come up, they do not tolerate it. And there is rebellion. For instance, they don't want to get out of their comfort zone, or they don't want to do things that have been told to them to be done. So, as I said, procrastination is not just a behavior, but it's an art, and some people are very skilled at it. Let's look at some styles of procrastination. When people procrastinate, there are certain styles. You will be able to identify your style, and then I hope that you will be able to break this habit. So, the first style of procrastination, as we call it, is a low impact procrastination. In this, you might have seen a lot of people with mobile phones, and their screen guard is broken, but the mobile phone is still working, which means that if they don't change the screen guard, nothing much is going to happen. In a similar way, we postpone a lot of tasks, and if we do it right away, not much difference is going to be made. And if we don't do it, still it's not going to make much of a difference. So people who convince themselves that it's not going to make much difference anyway if I don't do it, they engage in this style of procrastination, which is called as a low impact procrastination, because their task, their work, their behavior has very little impact on the outcome. But why is this important to break this habit is because small things pile up and it causes a lot of anxiety, and they are all interlinked with each other. For instance, one small task is linked to another, and another task is linked to third. So they all get halted, and it causes a lot of decrease in the productivity. The second style of procrastination is called as perfectionist procrastination. In perfectionist procrastination, the person procrastinates because they think that either I'll do it perfectly or else there is no point in doing it all. So they engage in this kind of black and white thinking where they think that tasks must be finished completely in one go, or they must be finished perfectly. And unless there is a guarantee that the task is going to be finished perfectly, they just don't attempt it, right? For instance, is the lockdown going on, and many of the tasks are postponed because the resources are not in place, and the outcome of your behavior, outcome of your work would not be excellent if you do it right away. But if you insist that everything has to be perfect, then only I will do it, then you are engaging in this style of procrastination. So the advice here is aim for excellence, but there is nothing like perfect. Everything can be improved. So I remember a story of a musician who wanted, it's a singer and a musician, so he wanted to release a song, a pop song, and he was perfecting one song for the last 10 years. Now his logic was, I'm going to master and I'm going to perfect this song so much that once it is released, it is going to hit 1 million views in no time. And in the meantime, what happened? A lot of new singers and musicians came in. They released a few songs. Some of them were super flops, and some of them were hits. And after that, some were flops and some were hits again. So these new musicians learned through their mistakes. They released songs, and in the whole process, they learned a lot, and they could improve on their songs, and they made a lot of money. But this musician was stuck with one song. He never released it because he was never happy with the outcome. And this is how it affected his productivity big time. So the third style of procrastination is what we call as promissory note procrastination. In this, you promise yourself that I'm definitely going to do it from tomorrow onwards. I'm definitely going to do it from Monday or 1st of January and so on. So this promise helps you get rid of your guilt that you're not doing it. And because you get rid of the guilt, the motivation to do it is lost. So this promise acts like a helmet people wear, just to escape the traffic police. They do not or they do not tighten, or they do not secure the clip. But at the same time, some people don't wear the seat belt, and they might simply wear a seat belt just to show just at the traffic signal to escape the traffic police. Now, such helmets only serve the purpose of escaping the traffic police, but they will not save you in the case of an accident. In a similar way, this promise acts similarly. It only saves you from the guilt, but it does not get your tasks done. So do not promise yourself that I'm going to do it tomorrow or from Monday or 1st of January or once the lockdown is over without a concrete plan. People who engage in this style of procrastination don't have a concrete plan. I'm going to discuss how to deal with these styles later, but let's look at the styles first. The next style of procrastination is what we call as hindrance procrastination. Now, as you can see, these are the barricades, and these barricades serve a purpose of stopping you from going across the road. But what is written on the barricades is like, we are there for your cooperation. In a similar way, some people show that they are cooperating with you, but at the same time, what they could be doing is that they might be hindering your work. Now, some people deliberately delay to do your work because it would benefit you. For instance, you might have seen some government offices or some kind of offices where they deliberately don't do your work because they want to hinder your progress. So have you yourself engaged in this kind of procrastination where you're passively aggressive towards someone and you do not cooperate, because if you cooperate, then somebody else's tasks would be easier? So this shows passive anger towards them, and this is commonly seen especially in corporates. Another style of procrastination is what we call as roller coaster procrastination. In this, the productivity of the person goes up and down like a roller coaster. So just before the deadline approaches, their productivity goes super up. And once the deadline goes away, their productivity goes down. So you might have seen people who study all night just before an exam, or just before 7 days of an exam. They study all night. Their productivity is at their peak. They think that their productivity is at their peak, but they're just more aggressive during this period. So there was an experiment done on rats, where the rats were asked to run on a treadmill. And there was a piece of cheese kept at the end of the treadmill. So as the rat ran towards the cheese, the rat could see that the cheese is now very close to it. Now, what was expected, that the rat would grab the cheese, jump on it, and eat it. But as the rat approached the cheese, what was seen was, it was surprising that the rat slowed down, because probably the rat thought that now it is in my in a distance where I can grab it anytime. So their motivation was lost, and they slowed down. Because they slowed down, the treadmill took them away. As the treadmill took them away from the cheese, they started getting anxious and they started running faster towards the cheese. So this loop continued for a long time, and the rat got exhausted. Now, why does this happen? Is because as you approach your goal and as you see your progress, some people do get what we call as premature sense of satisfaction. And because of this premature sense of satisfaction, they slow down. You might have seen people who aim at losing or gaining 10 kgs of weight, for instance, and once they achieve their target, 30% or 40%, They post their pictures on Instagram and other social media, and they get a lot of likes from people and engagement from people, congratulations, and so on. So this demotivates them because this has given the dopamine surge in your brain, and you get a premature sense of satisfaction thinking that I know exactly how to lose weight now, so let me loosen my efforts a little bit, and I would slow down on my effort. And then they start eating again, and they put on their weight, or they lose more weight when they were starting to gain weight. So the point is, premature sense of satisfaction can drastically reduce your motivation to approach your goals. Another style of procrastination is what we call as narcissistic procrastination, where you think too great of yourself and you think that this task is not up to my mark. I deserve something more intellectually challenging. And because of this trap, you continue to procrastinate things which are not up to the mark. So you insist that you must be given some tasks that are up to your mark, and donkey work is something that you don't like to do. Remember that any success or any progress is a mixture of good quality work and average work. You have to do donkey work in order to probably get your results. If you insist that you will do only work of specific type, you are engaging in a style of procrastination called as narcissistic procrastination. I also remember one more type of narcissistic procrastination where people get a kick out of doing things last moment because they think that, it was just 15 minutes before I boarded the flight. I remember one client who had approached me. He said that he had boarded a flight just 16 minutes before departure, and he was boasting about it because he wanted to prove to himself that he is so skilled and he is so well known at the airport that the security would allow him in, and that is how it got reinforced, because he would get away every single time his delay got delayed. His delay got worsened. And if you think that you can manage things in small amount of time and limited resources, and that gives you an ego boost, probably you're engaging in this style of procrastination because it serves a purpose to boost your ego. Another style of procrastination is what we call as lateness procrastination. Here, once upon a time, being late served a purpose. For instance, someone might have gone to a meeting and they got late for the meeting. It was half an hour delay. But even when they were delayed, they still didn't have to wait for everyone, because the meeting had not started, and that's how, if they had come earlier, it would have been worse. So they reached at 10:30, which is half an hour late, but the meeting just started after they came in, and so it served a purpose to be late. Now, these people can generalize it to every other event, that it's best to reach late because you don't have to wait for other people, and therefore they keep generalizing it and they get late every time. But they just can't fall out of this trap because they are convinced it's like first impression is the last impression. So they are convinced that getting late is the best strategy. Let's understand the procrastination cycle. What exactly happens in procrastination? There are certain predisposing factors that might predispose you, but they do not cause procrastination. The one predisposing factor is sleep deprivation. There could be lack of exercise, there could be bad mood, there could be role models, and there are other predisposing factors. For instance, existing disorders like depression, anxiety, ADHD, and they predispose you to procrastinating. Then comes the thoughts at the time of procrastination. Remember the last time you wanted to do something, you were at a choice point that you could have done it, but you chose not to do it. There must be some thoughts that might have gone in your head. These thoughts are usually permission-giving beliefs. For instance, I'm going to do it tomorrow anyway. I don't want to do it right now because I'm not in the mood. The internet connection is slow, it's locked down, and so on. So such thoughts that cross your mind at that time permit you not to do it. There are other thoughts as well, but what is common is there are thoughts that interfere with your task doing. So you change your decision and then you do a substitute activity. The substitute activity is usually less distressing or more entertaining. So most people shift to an activity. For instance, they might check their WhatsApp, they might check their Facebook or other social media notifications, or they might just simply chill and relax on the sofa and not do anything, or they might sleep. So this substitute activity is followed by reinforcement that, because the distress is taken away, it's reinforced by a reward, which is a less distressing activity, and a relief of anxiety that I didn't do it right now. So this substitute activity is rewarded and they get away with it. Many times nothing happens. For instance, if you had procrastinated doing a minor task, especially a low impact procrastination, and nothing major happens, you don't have to pay a big penalty, then it's going to get reinforced and you're going to get more and more habituated in this cycle. So remember, the second step here, procrastination, is the thoughts at the time of procrastination. They play a crucial role in deciding whether you're going to procrastinate or not. Let's look at some techniques how to break these cycles. Just make 2 columns on a piece of paper. On the left hand side, you need to write down permission giving beliefs. The permission giving beliefs are, for instance, I'm not in the mood right now, so this permits you not to do it anyway. You could generate a new thought on the right hand side, which could be, even if I'm not in the mood, I can still do a part of it. To which your brain would generate another thought that could be permission giving belief, which is, but what's the use anyway? So write this down on the left hand side and you generate a new helpful thought. So let's give it a try. And then could be a new permission giving beliefs, but it's too cold now or it's too hot now. Then you could generate a new thought, which would be, even if it is too cold or too hot, I will still do it for 5 minutes. This way, run out of all the excuses that you are giving to yourself, but this has to be done on a paper. Try to do it. One more technique I tell people is to strengthen your brain neural network in a way that you would strengthen your muscles at a gym. I'm sure that you're doing a lot of exercise in this lockdown, aren't you? No, you're not. And your muscles are growing weaker and weaker because there is reduced physical activity. So if you continue to have reduced physical activity, your muscles weaken in a similar way. The more you procrastinate, the neural pathway in your brain to do tasks, to finish tasks, weakens and weakens. And this is how you need to strengthen it, by reversing the whole cycle, is that the more you take up a task, without avoiding it, a neural pathway is strengthened in the brain, which tells you to do it, and it makes it easier and easier to do it next time. Search the word neuroplasticity in YouTube and you will find what I'm talking about. Let's assume that you have to run a marathon and your cutoff point is 500 meters. Beyond that, you don't run. But if you have to finish a 42 kilometer marathon, then every day you will have to practice so that your cutoff is higher and higher and higher. For instance, initially it would be 20 minutes, then it could be 30 minutes, and then it could be, say, for instance, 1 hour of running, and so on. So in a similar way, when you are procrastinating, increase your cutoff. For instance, you might just work the 2 heroes, take a different path. Remember, that is similar to this. When you are at a choice point where you have a choice to do it and you also have a choice to avoid it, ask yourself which path would be helpful in the longer run. So no matter how tempted you are to choose the path of procrastination, it is the choice point where you can do it. The later you take the choice point, the worse it is. For instance, if you have already started a substitute activity, which is checking WhatsApp, for instance, it is difficult for you to go and come back to the same path at the choice point and go this way. So the earlier you take the choice, the better. If I give you bubble wrap, you will be tempted to pop it, right? So you have an urge inside your brain to pop the bubble wrap. But what if somebody puts a gun on your head and tells you not to pop the bubble wrap? You will continue to have the urge, but you will not do it, which means the urge does not cause you to do a behavior, it's your own choice. In a similar way, when we procrastinate, we have an urge inside to procrastinate. This urge is something you cannot control. You cannot control the urge from coming in your head, but you can control your behavior. You can choose to act on the urge. You can choose not to act on the urge. So when you have an urge to not do something, do not act on it. Simply do it even if you have the urge, because it would be helpful. There are a few more techniques. One technique is imagine one task as one book, heavy book. And if you were to pile up books on your head, it would become very difficult to balance and the pressure would crush you. In a similar way, if you remove one book at a time, the pressure would release. Similarly, when you have a lot of tasks piled up, and when you do a task, when you finish off some task, the pressure over your head releases. So imagine yourself doing that, and then you will see that there is a lot of comfort that follows doing these tasks. When you go for shopping, you do not shop more than how much you have in your account. For instance, this is a debit card, and let's say that you have an X amount in your account. You cannot spend more than what is there. In a similar way, when you procrastinate, you tend to overestimate your resources. You might think that everything will be all right, I will be able to manage things on time. But what happens? There is a delay. You don't get the lift easily. There is a traffic jam, or some or the other thing happens. Your vehicle doesn't start on time. You don't get a taxi in the regular time. So all resources can go wrong. Remember that your resources are limited, and everything may not fall in place at the last moment. So don't spend more than what you have. In a similar way, don't overestimate your resources when you have a task to do. This is another technique, is a reverse arrow. Rewind in past in your head what happened last time when I had predicted that everything will be all right. You will notice that in some instances things went wrong. For instance, the power was cut off, or the computer hanged, or something like that. So do a revision of what happened last time. Learn from it. Just don't say that next time it will be better. Learn from it, and then you will be able to break this habit. Get rid of distractions when you're studying or when you're doing a task, because distractions can easily sidetrack you. People who have ADHD also get sidetracked very easily. So watch out for ADHD and watch out for distractions. The more screen exposure you have, the worse it gets to finish off your tasks. I give this analogy quite often, that if you were to have coffee or tea, but just before that you had sweets or desserts, so would it taste so good? No, obviously it won't. In a similar way, what happens is that you might check your notifications, or you might do the substitute activity, which is sweeter or less distressing first, and then you promise yourself that I'm going to do the boring task later. It is going to be more boring. It's going to be more non-pleasurable for you or distressing to you. So finish off the worst part first, and reward yourself with the pleasurable or substitute activity that you were planning to do. This way, you will be able to enjoy both of them. This is a parking lot, and none of the spaces are free. And if you want to park a car here, it would be difficult for you because there is no space. In a similar way, people who tell themselves that I'm going to start exercise from tomorrow, they don't have a space created for that exercise. For instance, they might be doing some different task at 9 to 10 a.m. when they promise themselves to exercise. So create some space for exercise or the task. Without creating space, you cannot fit in that activity, just like you cannot fit in a car in a full parking lot. So you might borrow 10 minutes from different activities and create a space of 1 hour or 1.5 hours, but you cannot just simply promise yourself that I will do it without having a concrete plan. Some people want to finish the whole task in one go, and this is a trap. Instead of that, tell yourself that I'm going to do it in parts, for instance, 10%, 20%, 30%, 60%, 70%. And then that would give you a reward that, yes, I'm doing something. You might have seen this progress bar in downloading or finishing tasks on screen sometimes. So this is very rewarding. It gives you a good feedback that so much of it is done. So similarly, give yourself a feedback that I have finished 60% of it, and this will probably encourage you to do more. Watch out for premature sense of satisfaction. Sometimes we put conditions on ourselves that unless this condition is met, unless this happens, I will not do it. Ask for the conditions that you have for yourself. What conditions absolutely must be met so that I'll do it right away? Some people wait for motivation. I must be in a perfect mood. I must be completely motivated before I start it. In fact, motivation is like the smell of food cooking. If you insist that I will start cooking food only when I smell the food first, you're laying a trap for yourself, because once you start cooking, the food will start giving its aroma. In a similar way, once you start doing some task, maybe you will be motivated, but maybe you won't be. But many times you have done tasks when you were not motivated to do it. Remember how many times you have taken a morning flight when you were not motivated to do it. Similarly, you can finish tasks without motivation, without being really wanting to do it. Finish it just because it's helpful. Some people imagine that all the 9 planets and 10 or whatever number planets should be in a straight line before I start doing things. Good British luck with that. Things are not going to align in the universe for you so that you will start doing the task. Tell yourself that even if everything is not exactly the way I want, I can still start doing it and do some part of it. There are some conditions that we put to ourselves. For instance, once this lockdown is over, I'm going to start exercise. अंदर से आवाज आनी चाहिए. There should be an inner voice that tells me to do it. I should have a fast internet. I should have perfect mood. There should be a big penalty. There should be a deadline, or there has to be a guarantee that I will be able to do this. Read this list later on. But remember that you may put some conditions on your head that unless these conditions are met, I'm not going to do it. Ask yourself, how likely are these conditions to be met? Very unlikely. The more number of conditions you put, the less likely they are to be fulfilled. Ask yourself, is it really possible to do the task even when the conditions are not met? The answer is yes. And what cost are you waiting for these conditions to be fulfilled? It's likely that you are paying a huge cost for procrastination. Some people have lost their jobs. Some people have ruined their careers in procrastination. In the last lecture I had given, around 500 people wrote me an email that they had faced huge losses because of procrastination. And this one habit has ruined their life. And everyone does it. Even I do procrastination, but it is possible to anti-procrastinate, stop procrastination till it affects your life. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also turn on the notifications. I am available on this email, shishir@coreforschools.com. And if you want to ask questions, there is a link given in the description. Please feel free to fill up that form and send me a question. I'd be happy to answer it. I'm sure that I won't have all the time to answer quickly, but I'll make sure that I'll respond to your emails. So thank you very much for being here and learn from what we have discussed today. And it's really difficult to break the habit of procrastination. What actually helps is understanding your style of procrastination, taking a decision that I'm going to break this habit as much as I can, and not beat yourself up for procrastinating, but take responsibility. If you still think that you might need professional help and more customized help, you should contact a cognitive behavior therapy and a rational emotive behavior therapy supervisor in your region or online and deal with your problems more effectively. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the good luck for your future. Thank you.